Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So I have been reluctant to answer some of the questions, the comments that came in, because I thought they were too general, but I'm going to get into them and I'm going to start dealing with all my comments. So I got a question of what is an investment property? Sort of wanted to understand what it meant. And I guess that there's people, when I think of it, it seems like it's a simple thing, but if you're not in investment real estate, you won't know what it means. So an investment property can mean a few things, right? In general, when you say you own an investment property, it's usually a property that, well, let me go back a step. It means a property that you don't live in and it's not your second home, right? When I was in the mortgage business for 17 years, we had three boxes to check off for a property. It was either your primary residence, it was a second home, which means a vacation home that you would use on occasion, or it was an investment property. So an investment property is something you don't live in, and you don't live in it occasionally. Now, in the context of an investment property, what you do with an investment property, what does it really mean when you say what is an investment property? Typically, an investment property is a property you're going to buy, you're going to hold, and you're going to try to make more money. Thank you for the likes, Greg. Make more money on it than it cost you. That's typically what an investment property is. Now, what I do mostly is I don't buy and hold, right? What I do mostly is go into contract on a property and then either assign the contract to a different investor that's going to fix and flip the property. Just explain what that means. That means fix it up and then sell it to an end user buyer who's going to move into it. Or I will close on the property and wholesale it. Wholesaling means that I am going to do no work to it or very little work to it, and then sell it to an end user buyer. Or sometimes I'm going to buy it and actually do a lot of work to it and rehab the property, fix and flip the property, which means do the work on it and then sell it. That's also an investment property. So I consider what I do, I consider myself a real estate investor because I only deal with investment properties, right? I'm not going to buy a property that I'm going to move into. I'm going to buy a property that I'm going to try and make money on. And there are multiple ways to make money on this. As I told you, you can wholesale the contract, which means you assign the contract, you never close. You can wholesale the property, which means buy it and do little to no work to it and then sell it. Or you can rehab the property, or you can buy it and hold it. Now, in New York, freaking phone is ringing. In New York, it's very difficult for single family properties to be cash flow positive because, in most parts of New York, because our property taxes are very high, right? It's typical in my area to pay $1,000 a month in taxes. I know people in other states are going to flip out when they hear that. And also because the purchase price is very high. So you have to, if you're borrowing money on it, the debt service, the monthly payments you're going to make on the debt are going to be very high. Adding those two things together, it's very hard for a single family to be cash flow positive, which means that you're going to get more money in rental income than you're going to pay out in expenses for taxes, insurance, mortgage payment if you have, maintenance, utilities, whatever you have to pay. So it's much more common in other areas, right? Lower priced areas, Texas and Midwest areas where you can buy something for $100,000 and your debt service is going to be minimal, your closing costs are going to be minimal, your taxes are going to be minimal, and you can rent it for $1,000 to $1,500 a month, and that'll cover everything and then some. So I envy sometimes a lot of my colleagues who work in other states because they can buy something, and if it doesn't work out, right, it screws up, they can't find somebody to buy it, they can throw it on the rental market and be cash flow positive. We don't have a lot of that flexibility in New York because the numbers don't work out. So I don't have that as an option. If there's more than one unit, though, sometimes it can. So if it's a two-family or if there's an accessory unit, let's say, you can very often make it work. Usually the second unit will pay for all the expenses and the other unit will be the profit that you make. So I have some rental properties that I own, some multifamilies in Elmont area, and I'm looking at possible other properties that I was thinking about. I almost bought something in Long Beach recently. But the numbers have to work, and people ask, how do those numbers work? And we're going to do a lot of videos on working those numbers. But basically, it's, what's your monthly income coming from the property? You take some kind of vacancy allowance, right? Which means you got to figure maybe a month, a year, you're going to be vacant if you get screwed with some crappy tenants. And then what are your expenses? So you got to figure in all your expenses, your taxes, your insurance, your principal and interest payments to your lender, any utilities you're going to have to pay. Even if you're renting a property, if it's a two-family or if it's a single family with an accessory unit, you may have to cover all the utilities, right? Very common if you have to cover the utilities. At least some of the utilities you may have to cover, even if it's just water. You may have to cover the rent. You may have to cover the heat if there's only one meter and there's two people sharing it. It's difficult to make it work where they're going to split it. So You have to figure in the basic net operating income, the NOI of the property, and then you figure out how it works. Now, there are people who buy investment properties, don't do any of the things I said. They take it and they just hold on to it because they figure it's going to appreciate. I am not a guy who believes in timing the market or in hoping for appreciation, right? I've seen ups and downs. I was in the mortgage business for the 2008 crash, and I can tell you that the basic problem with what happened in 2005, 6, 7 was that everybody thought the market was going to go up and never stop. And markets always turn. Right now, I'm seeing the same kind of irrational exuberance that we saw in 2005 and 6, where people cannot fathom that the market's going to turn and it's going to go down. I can tell you without a doubt, the market is going to go down. I don't know when it's going to go down. I don't know how much it's going to go down. I don't know how long it's going to go down for, but it's going to go down. Real estate is always cyclical, and there's so many crazy things going on in the market right now, geopolitical issues, the pandemic, all these things going on, that without a doubt, something's going to trigger a significant downturn in the market. And again, I don't even know, I shouldn't say significant. I don't know how much it's going to go down. Things are going to go down. So I have turned away long-term projects recently because I don't know where the market's going to end up in a year or two from now. And if you are convinced that the market's never going to go down, I guarantee you will be mistaken. And I can tell that the prices that people are paying for some of the things I'm putting out there don't make any sense to me. And I'm happy to get paid, but I can tell you that the basic idea that, hey, this market's never going to go down is crazy. Now, some of the mother effer, this light goes off. I have a battery for this light and it doesn't work. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up soon because I don't like the way my face looks without the good light. So the market is going to go down, but I'm trying to do short-term deals. There are people buying properties from me. Maybe they're doing short-term deals. That could work. That's fine. If you are interested in how I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. It's HOWTOFLIPNEWYORK.com. If you're interested in the course that I have that teaches how to do this, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. And if you're interested in coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you are watching on any platform, please keep giving me the thumbs up. That really helps. And what else do I have to say? Oh, keep the comments coming. This came from a comment. There are no bad comments. There are no comments that are too general or too specific, too small. I'm happy to answer any comment. If it's a simple answer, I'll just respond with the reply. And if it's something that I covered recently or in depth, I'll send you links to the videos. And if it's something new, this was a broad question, but it's something new, so I'll do a video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you again.